I'm Nicole Chamberlain, and my piece French Quarter won second place for the Flute New Music Consortium composition competition. So I'm in a flute quartet, perimeter flutes, and we were going to, we got accepted to go to the National Flute Convention in New Orleans in 2013. And we wanted to submit a program, because that time we had to submit a program of all our pieces that you were going to present. So we wanted to submit something that was New Orleans oriented. So we decided that we would, I would compose something, Kathy Farmer is as a composer, and she would compose something, and then we were going to play a piece by Charles Knox that we'd already had, and we wanted to perform there. So it was Atlanta, Georgia composers, and mine would be on a theme of French Quarter, on really New Orleans. So I picked French Quarter as a play on words. It was 4 movements, a quarter piece, and picked 4 places in the French Quarter or near there. So the first movement is Bourbon Street, and the second movement is Beignets. The third movement is Preservation Hall, and the fourth is St. Louis Cemetery. So I had been there a few years ago, and so luckily I could draw on that experience to write about it. And so that was the premise. And so I kind of like to have rules. So it's always nice for me to have a reason to write and not just writing for the benefit of writing. I mean, I do that too, but sometimes it comes a little bit faster if I have a subject matter. So. And that was the premise. So I decided that I would write for us and do it. And I like to write, since I am a flutist, I like to write things that are idiomatic to the flute and things that the special things we get to do. And my quartet had done a piece of mine already, and they're already kind of used to the things that I like to write. So I one-upped it a little bit more with all the extended techniques on it. And that's basically how it went. And I just treated them as 4 small little pieces each, and that we just played as a group. I mean, they are standalone, I think, pieces, but we always play them as a full. Probably the biggest inspiration actually is my husband, because he saved me twice from quitting. So he's a composer himself, and so when I first met him, he was going through grad school for his master's in composition, and he was working a full-time job, and I was working a full-time job doing web design, and I wasn't writing. So I said I was writing, but not with any kind of goal. So but he was still really excited about it, and I was still kind of jaded and didn't really want to do it anymore. I had a job, it was fine, I was doing it, but he really enjoyed it and loved it, and so I had a commission on the table that I wasn't doing, and it was due, and I had to do it. So he got me kind of going on that to push me through to finish that, and then I started writing more, and then I got to the point where I was writing more and teaching flute, which I never thought I would do. I always said my mom was a teacher, my sister was a teacher, and I just wasn't for me, and I wasn't going to teach. But then I started taking on lessons for a friend's daughter, and then I started taking other people, and then I found that I was in a better mood. So I was actually I could make a living if I quit my job. It wouldn't be what I was making at all as a web designer, but I could make it. And so my job got bought out. The company got bought out, and it was getting not fun anymore. It wasn't the job that I had. And the personnel changed, and my bosses weren't my bosses anymore. And so and actually the anniversary of this discussion was yesterday. My husband and I were standing around in a parking lot, and I just had it. I had the worst day, and it was terrible. And I said, I just got to do something. I got to find another job or something. He said, just quit. just quit. You're making enough money. You're a better mood after you teach, so just quit. So I quit. And it took me a couple months to quit, but I finally did quit, and it was the best. So he's been the most inspiring for me and very supportive, because I think if I been on my own, I think I'd still be working as a graphic designer and not doing this. Another person who also kept me from quitting was my flute teacher at UGA, Ronald Wallen, when he was still there, because I was a sophomore. I think I may have been a junior. I think it was a sophomore, but I'd been rejected from the composition department. Well, rejected is a strong word. I had gotten put on probation because my music theory grades were poor. So I had a lot of they said, well, if you can keep A's for the next year, you can come in. So, and then I had gotten not accepted in the graphic design department either. And so I was really at a crossroads, am I going to do this or not? And so I said, well, I don't think I'm going to do it. I'm going to ditch it all. I'm going to go major in advertising or something like that. So I walked into Dr. Wallen's office to give him the bad news, because my mind was made up. And I walked in there and said, Dr. Wallen, I think I'm going to quit. And he was like, what? He sat me down. No. So we sat down and he let me just kind of talk about it a little bit. And he said, I think that would be a huge mistake. And so it was reassuring. And he wasn't just saying that, because it is I don't know if you ever met Dr. Wallen. He was a very positive person in general. He had a lot of impact on everybody's lives, I think, as a teacher. But he would, when it was serious, he would tell you, we've had our come to Jesus moments where I did really poorly at my freshman jury that first semester. I didn't memorize my piece very well, and he's like, look, this is not good. And so we had our discussions, but for him to say that, and that was the point where things turned around for me, where I felt like he was the only person that believed in me there. So anyway, but after that it changed, and I was able to do that. So I think those two people have been probably the most significant in me going further. So they were inspiring and very supportive. And then, I have friends that are doing amazing things that are very inspiring. I have a friend, Emily Hackshaw, and another friend, Audrey Murphy, who I met on Craigslist doing for Woodwind Quintet in town. And they have been the best people that I've ever met. And it was on Craigslist. I love telling the story, because it was just the creepiest way to meet people. This was before Facebook and all that stuff. So this is how we met. They've been my friends for 10 years now. But we had a quintet together until our lives got so busy and rehearsal was getting in the way of our socializing. So we just hang out now. But, Emily went on to do she's done amazing things with the Library and Orphan Education Project and the opera. And now she's working at a charter school for kids with financial needs. And Audrey Murphy's a band director for middle school who's really taken something that could be mundane and doing things as a clinician and commissioning pieces. She's another commissioner of mine. So those two people have been inspiring to see very independent women making it work and taking a lot of risks. So, and we kind of all hopefully hold each other up a little bit. This is the part I think most musicians have problems with, is thinking that what you do is a business. It is. You're selling your art, and I think a lot of people feel that's very commercial, but if you want to make art, you have to be able to make a living, so it's either get a day job or hawk your wares. And so and maybe growing up in that web design company, I really understood how important it was to get your name out there and do all these little annoying things, like make your own website and update it. And it's kind of fun and refreshing, because I compose a little bit and then I get into a dead end. I'm frustrated. I'm like, well, I'll just go update my website, or I'll, do something new, or and it's refreshing, and then I can come back and finish what I was working on with a clear mind. But it's really important, and it's funny, usually I don't pick the music that I get to perform. Either I write the music I'm working on that I'm going to perform, or I'm part of an ensemble where someone else is picking the music. Perimeter Flutes is pretty collaborative. And we have a librarian, and we all have our little jobs in our quartet. We have our librarian because she's so familiar with the repertoire, but they've been together for 10 years, and I just joined on for the last 3. So they've played everything. And so it's getting really hard to figure out what to do next without repeating yourself and getting bored. So we've commissioned some things. I've written some things. Kathy's written some things. But recently I've had to go look for stuff because I can't write everything. I don't want to. I want to play other pieces. And I tell you what, if I hear a composer complain one more time that no one will play their music, and I know the reason why is I can't find it. Like, I'll hear a recording and then can't find contact information for the composer or where it's published. Or if I do, it's not on their website. And then I'll email them and not hear back. So that's incredibly frustrating. And the internet has been, I think, the basis for all of my work that I've gotten. It's very rare that it's not because someone doesn't mention in a conversation that, oh yeah, I went to your website and heard your music. Or, I even met my friends on Craigslist. I mean, how ridiculous is it? And I met my husband actually on the internet, and because I was trying to commission him to write a flute and guitar, because he's a guitarist, so I was trying to find a flute and guitar piece by a local composer. And he didn't have anything, and that's another problem we had. Why don't you have anything? So, on your website. So having a web presence, and then being actively part of social media as much as it can be just revolting to be on social media all the time, but it is really necessary to be it's just not good enough to have a website. You have to constantly be on the forefront of people's minds. Like, I need a flutist. Oh yeah, I just read Nicole is doing so-and-so, so let me call her. Or I want this piece written. Oh wait, didn't Nicole write so-and-so? And so it's always being on the forefront. But I mean, it can be addictive, and you have to pace yourself. Like, when I'm ready to compose, I have to turn it all off and just say, okay, for the next hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever, I'm not checking social media. I'm not checking my email. But I think it's to be available and to have everything out there is very important so people can find you.
Well, thank you so much, Nicole. You're welcome. Interviewing with FNMC, and congratulations on your recent